The dispute between NewJeans and their agency ADOR has reached a turning point, well, sort of, because the group has officially withdrawn their appeal against the court's injunction banning them from pursuing independent activities without ADOR's consent. So this means that the injunction, which prohibits the members from engaging in entertainment activities outside of ADOR, is now finalized and legally binding. As you know, on June 17th, the Seoul High Court dismissed NewJeans' appeal against the initial injunction, which upheld ADOR's exclusive rights as their management agency. The court made it clear that NewJeans cannot conduct any independent promotions, performances, or business deals without ADOR's prior approval. Now, NewJeans had until June 24th to file a final appeal to the Supreme Court, but they chose not to submit any documents, effectively ending their legal push against the injunction. So a couple days ago, multiple Korean agencies reported on this issue, the fact that NewJeans did not do anything or did not file an appeal to the Supreme Court. Now, as we have talked about, the court emphasized that HYBE has made significant investments in NewJeans, reportedly over 21 billion Korean won, and that allowing the members to act independently would unfairly strip ADOR of the results of that investment. And importantly, the court rejected the argument that the group's exclusive contract was conditional on former ADOR CEO Min Hee-jin's continued leadership. And it stated that the contract's core was established by HYBE, who founded ADOR and invested in NewJeans, not by Min Hee-jin. And even if Min Hee-jin was removed, that alone does not justify breaking the contract. The court also dismissed NewJeans' claims of mistreatment and trust breakdown, including an incident where member Hani alleged she was ignored by another HYBE artist, but CCTV footage and testimony apparently did not support this. And in a further blow, the court also approved a compulsory enforcement order, meaning that if the members violate the injunction and proceed with unauthorized activities, they must pay 1 billion Korean won per incident per member. Now, then the question is, why did NewJeans back down this time? So in November of last year, NewJeans announced they were terminating their contract, right, citing ADOR's failure to fulfill its obligations. And in response, ADOR filed a lawsuit asserting that the exclusive contract remained valid. ADOR also submitted an injunction request asking the court to prevent NewJeans from engaging in independent activities before a ruling was made in the main lawsuit, main lawsuit. So the court granted ADOR's request, and although the members filed objections and appeals, the rulings consistently favored ADOR. Now, given NewJeans' firm stance, many people expected them to challenge this latest ruling as well. And appealing to the Supreme Court. But surprisingly, they chose not to file a final appeal. Now, the exact reason for NewJeans' decision to withdraw the appeal is unclear, but it doesn't appear to be an attempt to reach a settlement with ADOR. Legal experts believe NewJeans and their attorneys may have concluded that they had little chance of winning at the Supreme Court, because a final appeal wouldn't allow for new evidence or arguments, only a review of how the law was applied in lower courts. And since both the lower court and appellate court entirely rejected NewJeans' claims, pushing further could risk weakening their position in the ongoing main lawsuit, which seeks a court ruling on whether their exclusive contract is still valid. In other words, rather than wasting resources on a losing battle, NewJeans is now expected to focus on the main case. Then the question is, what comes next? The core lawsuit Ponan over the validity of NewJeans' exclusive contract is still ongoing, with the third court hearing scheduled for July 24th, so about a month from now. So far, the two sides have shown no signs of compromise. Well, ADOR has repeatedly made public statements expressing hope for reconciliation. Like after the appeal was dismissed on the 18th, June 18th, ADOR issued a statement expressing gratitude for the court's decision and said they hoped the members would return to their rightful place as NewJeans and resume activities. So this showed their continued willingness to move forward with the group. But ADOR has consistently expressed a desire to continue working with NewJeans and has also indicated a willingness to settle in the main lawsuit. Even the court asked if they will be willing to do it, but the NewJeans has repeatedly refused to settle. And their legal team has described the situation as having crossed a point of no return. I think they used this expression in response to the court asking if they really would not compromise or settle. Now, even as recently as a promotional event in Kyoto, where NewJeans member Danielle appeared for Omega event, the jewelry brand, it was said that ADOR staff were reportedly present, but insiders described the interaction as an awkward coexistence, not a sign of reconciliation. So many people were wondering whether this was like Danielle just doing her own thing and having to pay like 1 billion Korean won, but no, this was pre-approved by ADOR and actually scheduled by ADOR, and ADOR staff was with her. But like I just said, according to this article, insiders have described the interaction as an awkward coexistence, 불편한 동행, not a sign of reconciliation. Now, behind the scenes, NewJeans' legal team has filed over 15 official requests for clarification in the trial for the main lawsuit, questioning issues like the scope of Min Hee-jin's authority at the time of contract signing, the influence of her dismissal on group activities, and whether ADOR's board took action when plagiarism controversies arose. Now, according to Korean media agencies, the court has accepted at least 3 of these 15 points for further investigation. But the court rejected the clarification request related to media manipulation, stating that the issue was emotionally charged and not suitable for objective clarification. And requests for information regarding the composition of ADOR's board of directors and attendees were also denied on the grounds that they pertain to matters of corporate governance. Now, although this article from June 5th says that the court has accepted 3 of these points, I think after that final ruling on the injunction, I think even these points would not really matter in the end. But we'll have to see, because the court basically said that actually it's Min Hee-jin and NewJeans who have caused all these, shenanigans. Now that the injunction is officially in effect, any unauthorized activity could lead to enormous financial penalties, like 1 billion Korean won, approximately, how much was it? What was it? $720,000? 70만, 100만, 1000만, yes, right? 720,000 USD. 100만, 1000만, yeah. Per instance per member, so that's pretty huge. And while the legal fight continues, NewJeans remains largely inactive as a group. So the question is, what are they thinking? What are NewJeans members thinking, Min Hee-jin thinking, and what's going to happen now? Interestingly, I found this article written by, it's a column written by Heejin, part of Celeb Media. That's the agency's name. And this is what they said. Their prediction. Assuming ADOR ultimately wins based on the current trend, NewJeans' options will be extremely limited. First, returning to ADOR, which seems highly unlikely. Second, negotiating a partial settlement, paying a reduced penalty, and relaunching as a full 5-member group under a new name. So, depending on the agreement, they might even regain the right to use the name NewJeans. So that's the second option or possibility. Third, and barely an option, is simply waiting out their exclusive contract and resuming entertainment activities afterward. But success isn't guaranteed. In K-pop, new girl groups debut every month, and as the saying goes, a girl group's shelf life is about 7 years. The public's taste shifts quickly. It's been a full year since NewJeans released their Japanese debut single, Supernatural, on June 21st of last year. Even now, the public excitement around NewJeans has cooled considerably compared to then. Imagine how much colder it will be after another year of inactivity. Meanwhile, the columnist says, Min Hee-jin, once publicly calling herself the mother of NewJeans, has gone completely silent. Not a single comment or action. The group, who vocally supported her until recently, no longer even mentions her name. It's likely because Min Hee-jin herself is now overwhelmed by her own legal war. The odds of her reuniting with NewJeans and promoting under that name are near zero. 가능성 제로이다. She's also an unattractive prospect for new investors, given her ongoing court battles. On top of that, she's locked in a fierce legal fight with HYBE over 26 billion Korean won put option. HYBE claims Min Hee-jin breached the shareholders' agreement and is trying to buy back her 18% stake in ADOR at its original price. Min Hee-jin counters that there is no valid reason to terminate the agreement and insists her put option remains valid. In late 2021, HYBE established ADOR and sold Min Hee-jin an 18% stake in March 2022. They signed a shareholder agreement at the time. The put option allows Min Hee-jin to sell 13% of her 18% stake back to HYBE at a price calculated as 13 times ADOR's average operating profit over the past 2 years. That would amount to around 26 billion Korean won. In contrast, the call option gives HYBE the right to repurchase her shares for just 2.8 billion Korean won if she violated the shareholders agreement. HYBE notified Min Hee-jin of contract termination on July 8th last year and exercised the call option in August. The reasoning, according to HYBE, stems from an audit back in April, which concluded Min Hee-jin tried to take control of ADOR and hindered its growth. The company's argument heavily focused on her alleged attempt to extract NewJeans from ADOR. After resigning from ADOR in November, Min Hee-jin exercised her put option, stating HYBE's contract termination was unilateral and groundless. She insists she never tried to seize management or steal NewJeans and thus remains entitled to her put option payout. This tug-of-war over 26 billion won versus 2.8 billion won seems to be the biggest reason why Min Hee-jin can no longer be the driving force behind any revolution, quote-unquote, with NewJeans. The stakes are sky high. The outcome of the ADOR versus NewJeans and HYBE versus Min Hee-jin lawsuits remain unclear. But one thing is certain. Until the court makes its final ruling, the members of NewJeans are legally barred from any entertainment activity. HYBE and Min Hee-jin's legal drama might be dismissed as an internal corporate matter, an issue for shareholders, executives, and Min Hee-jin herself. Whether HYBE buys back the shares at 26 billion won or 2.8 billion won is a private fight. But the conflict between ADOR and NewJeans is something else entirely. It cuts to the core of the K-pop industry. The outcome could reshape how investors, agencies, and artists approach production, branding, and contracts in Korea's most global cultural export. So, what kind of decisive testimony will NewJeans need to turn the tide? And then this author leaves with an interesting quote, philosophical quote. Philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein once said, "Whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent." NewJeans has positioned themselves as rebels, exposing the darker side of the K-pop system. When Min Hee-jin declared war on HYBE and NewJeans stood with her, many fans cheered. But since then, no new revelations have followed. According to Wittgenstein, there is no need to speak of what cannot be unspoken, what is already known, or what serves no purpose to say. And yet, at this point, NewJeans might need to say something. Clearly, definitively, if they want to win. That was an interesting piece. But yeah, we will have to see what kind of next move they're going to make. And as I have said earlier, the next court hearing is scheduled for, when was it? I said July 24th, right? But if there's any update before then, I'll make a video accordingly. Yeah, July 24th. And if you have any opinions to share, feel free to leave comments. And as always, let's stay positive, respectful, and classy as we communicate. All right? Peace and love. Bye-bye.